Just before we begin, we just want to let you know that this session is being recorded today, and we'll put it up on the test site's website so that other people can also get some information about how to apply. So just keep your camera off and your microphone muted if you don't want to be involved in the video. And we will also just ask you to keep your self muted as well while we talk, just for the audio. And we do have a Q&A chat function as well that you should see at the top of your screen. So as we go along, we encourage you to write questions in there, and then we'll tackle them at the end. And before I go any further, I'd like to acknowledge that I'm calling from Wurundjeri land. I'm here in Northcote. And I would like to pay my respects to elders past, present and future, and any First Nations people that may be joining us today as well, and acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. So hopefully this is a bit of a chance to have a chat and for you to ask us questions. So we'll keep it relatively brief and then we'll get to the question and answer stage. But we'll start off with who we are, a bit of the program history, the objectives, selection criteria, and then we've got some hot tips for you as well, so for how to apply. And I've been involved in the program for a number of years, so it's like common things that we've kind of seen over the years. But first off, I am going to throw to the other test sites producer, Jedda Andrews. Jedda, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Jedda Andrews. I'm a creative producer. I've been working for about 12 years now, mostly on photography, film, sculpture, installation, both permanent and temporary public works. So I've covered a pretty broad scope. So I've got kind of a good knowledge base across lots of different projects and lots of different art forms as well. So yeah, I'm the newest member to the test sites team. And yeah, really looking forward to working with Arie and the City of Melbourne to kind of get this year started. Yeah, thanks very much. Back to you, Arie.
Thanks, Jedda. Yeah, and so my name is Arie Glorie. I'm a curator, an artist and a producer. I've worked across public art projects, community art festivals. I was the program director of an art space called Testing Grounds for a number of years, and now I'm the public program producer of the Museums and Collections Department at the University of Melbourne, working across a number of different museums and galleries. So Jedda and I are the producers of test sites. We are also the mentors on test sites. So anyone that is in the program will work with us really closely. So that's why obviously we wanted to be here today as well to introduce ourselves. So test sites has been through a number of iterations. It's been around since 2016. It started as a one-day testing permit where artists would go into the city, come up with a site that they wanted to investigate and a question about a project that they wanted to test, and as well as some workshops. From there, it's been through quite a few different iterations. It then was at Testing Grounds. We tried it as a one-day workshop. We tried it as a week-long workshop. We tried it as creative development, professional development. And then it also went into the COVID lockdown period where we took the whole program online. And then from there, it became a 3-month creative development project. This is when everyone obviously was at home and had a lot more time to spend on this sort of thing. And we really experimented with bringing different schools of thought in and different people. And while the city was locked off to people, that it was really about focusing on the professional development side of public art. So how do you pitch a project? Now that society is opened back up and we have full access to the city again, we're really wanting to bring the program back to the 2016 version and really concentrate on providing an opportunity for artists to go into the city of Melbourne and test a project in a really hands-on and material way. So it's kind of nice to go full circle, and all good programs go on many journeys. And of course, this year as well, we'll be trying out new things. And we're excited to bring some people along on that journey with us. And the reason why I wanted to give a brief overview of the different iterations of test sites is that, of course, we're an arts community here in Melbourne, and you may talk to other people and they might tell you about their test sites experience, but really just to hone in on that. The 2023 program is, again, its own experience compared to what other people may have experienced in the past. So come with a clear mind and ready for a different experience. So the program objectives are something that's really, really important to be familiar with while applying for this program, because of course it sets up your expectations for what could happen into it, and then also what our expectations are as well. So quite simply, I've got my next slide here. So the program objective, the reason why test sites exist is that we want to help local artists test and develop a temporary public art idea by providing permits to work creatively in public space. So what that means essentially is we're looking for, local artists can be anyone based in Victoria. And then otherwise, a temporary public art idea is really anything that can be set up in one day and then also packed down. So when we make a distinction through City of Melbourne Public Art that a permanent work is something that lasts for 30 years or more. A temporary work can tend to be from literally 1 day to 5 years. So within that temporary public art idea, we're looking for things that are maybe a little bit more modules, things that are performative, things that are really experimental and that are not kind of that typical idea of what public art is, which might be like a highway sculpture or something like that. And what happens in the program as well when you get into it is you do a swim statement, a risk assessment with the City of Melbourne, and then they provide a permit for you to work in public space for 1 day, which just means you're endorsed by the council. If anyone kind of questions you, that you've got the backing and the support to say, this is okay, I'm supposed to be here doing this. Another program objective is that we want to increase local artists' capability and confidence to work in the public realm through creative and professional development, support, and mentoring. So public art is really difficult to put on. There is no one way to do it, unlike, say, maybe putting a work on in a gallery. So what we're really trying to do is just increase your confidence, and going out and testing for 1 day is one way to do that. It can be scary out in public space and you can come across all sorts of unknowns. So we just really want to give people a platform to experience that, to ask some more questions, and really give you the experience that then you can use that to further that project or apply for other opportunities as well. The type of professional development that you receive is Jedda and I are making some worksheets. So there'll be some practical information there. There's also mentoring sessions with either of us, and that's really where you can sit down with us and we can tease out your project. Doesn't necessarily have to be full-on mentoring as well. Perhaps that's a strong word, but it's producing support. So Jedda and I both have a lot of producing experience, and of course, it's just really helpful to have someone in your corner that has the time to listen to your ideas, help you grapple with them, point out where to get certain information, permits, and really how to navigate public space, the public realm, and also how to navigate council as well. So Robin Simpson, who couldn't join us tonight from City of Melbourne, is also a really great producer that helps you through this process as well. There's also something that's not mentioned here is we also do workshops throughout the program as well. So there'll be 3 touch points. And there'll be 1 day workshops. And that's where we get all the test sites participants together and some guest artists and just have like a really fun day where we get to do some cool workshops, run around the city, talk, nerd out about public art essentially. So yeah, something that I'm very much looking forward to. The other objective is that we want to engage with the city, its sites and infrastructures as a place for creative expression. So it's in the name of the program, test sites. They are sites to test things, and we are also testing the capability of the site as well as a creative place. So, we've all probably heard Melbourne being described as a creative city. This very much ties into that idea. How can artists go out into the streets and claim the city as a creative space? And how can artists use the infrastructure as a studio? And the benefits for this is that as the public are moving through the space, that they can really see artists working and grappling with ideas in a very live and real way as well. As I suppose, which has its benefits as opposed to artists working tucked away in their studios and only coming out when it's presentation time. And the last objective as well is that Test Sites is intended to support artists to develop and test new public art ideas, and is not designed to support the production and delivery of a resolved public art idea. So if you have an idea that's already been programmed by another organisation or another festival or something like that, this is not the program for you, and this is not a program to get co-funding for that. And this is a really important eligibility distinction. What we want to do is support people with new ideas that are a genuine test and that take genuine creative risk. All right, I'm going to go to the next one, which is the selection criteria, and hand it over to you, Jedda.
Great, thank you. So we've got three main selection criteria, one being ideas that are compelling and clearly communicated. So with this, I think it's just important to say that while Arie and I will be here and we can absolutely help to develop and support your idea, I guess it's to say that you need to come with some formed idea so that we can see the vision of what you want to create in public space. And I guess it also doesn't matter what kind of scale that you're looking to produce. So the thing is that it's an idea, it's in public space, and because it's open to lots of different types of creatives, we just want to make sure that no matter what the scale of the project is, that it is clearly communicated and that we can understand and clearly kind of visualize what you're going to be producing in that public space and in that location. The next one is the ideas that they're I've lost my notes. Ideas that aim to activate the city. And so this is really talking to the point that we are back in the city now and that we really do want to focus on those locations. So we want to make sure that we are engaging with the city and that you're making a work that really responds to that location. So, why is that location important to the work, and why would you be making this work in that location? So that's something that's really important. I guess the thing is that you can make public works in lots of different locations, but why is it important that you're making it in the city? And then the third one is just, where is it? Where are we? Sorry.
We're at the value of experience for the applicant.
Yeah. So the main thing for this is really, why is it an important opportunity for you at this stage in your career? And why is it an important opportunity or kind of the next stage in your practice? So maybe it's that you're a studio artist and that you're looking to now take your work into public space, or maybe you have already worked in public space, but it's a new idea and that you're testing it in this new location. So we want to know what the value is to you as an artist for, to applying for this project and this program. Yeah, I think that is everything. If you've got any questions about that, obviously we can cover that in the questions section.
Yeah, and I think it's like the second point here of ideas that aim to activate the city in interesting, engaging ways is to, what I would recommend is like walking around and having a good look around the city as well. What tends to happen is we get a lot of applications for exactly the same sites. So we're looking for something that's projects that can go into new areas that we haven't made work and projects in yet. Of course, very typical places that we get a Federation Square, King's Domain Garden, Yarra Bend. And hey, they might be the right place for your project, but it needs to be a really good, you need to have a really good reason why, not just because it's the only, public space that's right in front of your eyes. So this kind of flows on into hot tips that we're starting to talk about. So know your site and its stakeholders. So this very much responds to that. So say if it is Federation Square, who actually has jurisdiction over that site? Is it actually City of Melbourne that can provide a permit for that site? In this case, it's actually not. In the past, we've also received a lot of applications for M Pavilion. M Pavilion is an independent organisation that does their own programming, so we won't accept projects for that either. Projects outside of the Arts Centre forecourt, the Arts Centre also has jurisdiction over that. Parliament House as well. Sometimes we can be a bridge to these organisations to, ask for permission there. But it's just really good to do a little bit of research before you put your application in to check what sort of public space it is. Sometimes things look like public space and they're actually private land. A big one is that you don't necessarily need to stick to the CBD. The CBD is quite a difficult place for public space, especially now as the subway is being put in, the acoustic sheds are taking up quite a lot of space as well. So think about what is in the municipality of the City of Melbourne. We've also got Carlton, we've also got Docklands, East Melbourne, Kensington, North Melbourne, Parkville, South Bank, West Melbourne. So there's quite a huge amount of different areas that you could be going into, and we will absolutely support projects that engage with an interesting site outside of the CBD and outside of the Hoddle grid. Another hot tip is to have a really clear question that you're asking. And that goes a little bit to what Jedda was talking about before. So we want a compelling idea. Your idea might be much, much, much bigger in scale, but you want to use this program to just test a small element of your project. So that's a really good example of knowing what element of your project that you are wanting to test. And we also want to really support projects that are taking creative risk. So is it a genuine question that is being asked? And we want to see, and maybe it will fall over and maybe you will learn a lot from that. So I suppose that's about moving slightly out of your comfort zone and trying something that you haven't tried before. Maybe it's a new material you've never worked with. Maybe it's a new piece of technology that you also haven't worked with. Maybe the site's really new. You've never worked in rain before. There's a lot of different ways that you can come at this. Keep it simple as well. I know that's hard. Art is a complex thing and projects have so many different elements and tangents to them. I think for the sake of an application, this is a communication exercise. You can only fit so much in an application. So I encourage you to just choose one thematic thread of your project, let everything else wash away, and just tell us about that one element, and try and keep the story simple. If you get into the program, then we have all the time in the world to chew the fat with you, and throw around much more complex ideas there as well. Another hot tip is we're looking for projects, as I said, that work in a really hands-on and material way. So what are you bringing out into the public? Now, we do also accept online and digital projects, but I suppose the question there would be, how do you take that out into the public, and how do you ask the public to test elements of that project as well? So just for an example, we have had a project in the past that was an augmented reality project. So that was about getting a number of devices out into the public, putting it in the public's hands and testing how they engage with that application. And the last hot tip that I have, and then I'll throw to you, Jedda, if you have any, is try to propose a project that is genuinely, I don't know, this is a hard thing to say without sounding negative, but don't simply propose an indoor project that then is put outside. So what makes your project public art? How does it grapple with the public realm and ask questions about how we live in society and how we like coexist as a public? Sometimes we get a lot of applications that is a video artwork that's simply projected outside on a wall. It's not quite enough of a question to grapple with. So we're looking for a little bit more ambition and a little bit more creative risk in public space, because for us, we know how to put on a projection work up against the wall. So yeah, how can you take that a step further and try something new? Jedda, have you got anything else to add here?
Yeah, I guess that's the one for me, is that I'm really looking for people wanting to experiment and people wanting to see an idea in public space that they wouldn't get an opportunity to do so. So, this is a really great program for, maybe you've got, a studio practice, or you've got painting practice or sculpture practice, whatever it is, but you've got this idea that you've been wanting to try out that you might not have been able to fit in other aspects or areas of your practice. This is a really great program for that, just to be able to really kind of expand and kind of experiment in that public space. It's one day, it's fantastic. You can kind of go test something, see if it works, get more confidence about your idea, yeah, that's what I'm kind of looking for anyway. Yeah.
Great. Cool. So yeah, we fairly ripped through that. Has anyone got any questions?
I'm just going to say Arie, because I don't have access to them if they are in the thing. If you don't mind just letting me know, that'd be great.
All right.
There's nothing in there right now.
Nothing in there. You're welcome.
I think some people may have the same issue as you, Jedda.
Yeah. Romy, is it? Yeah.
Yes. Hi, it's Romy. Hi.
Hi, Romy.
My question is, thank you for all of that, firstly. My question is, if you have an idea, but you don't know what space of, what is the best space, can you still submit an idea and then work out the best location for it later?
The best advice would be to scope out the site first. And it's okay if you change your mind down the track. We're not necessarily going to hold you to that site. But it would be best to choose a site, because we want to hear about how your idea relates to that. So a part of this program of supporting local artists to increase their capacity to apply for future public art opportunities, because what has happened in the past is they go to overseas companies, and that's when we kind of get what we call like plonk art that goes down and has no relationship to its site or the community that moves through that site, or we're talking about story and place here. You can also, if your project might not be site specific, but what are the kind of common things that are in all cities? So all cities have bridges, all cities have rivers, so you can also be a bit more broad if your project's not really specific, but definitely, yeah, choose a site, and then when you're describing your project, why does that site matter, and how do those two things kind of intersect? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, cool. Grace?
Great.
Hi, I have two questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
I was wondering if we had an idea that's been somewhat formed through like a research project. So we've kind of come up with like a proposal for something already, but it hasn't been executed beyond a very, very small scale. Could that be something that we then do, or is that already a fully formed, like something that's already happened? So
Yeah,
therefore off limits.
Yeah, good question. No, that's fine. And we also recognize that people have a practice and works have many iterations, and you build upon things, and yeah. So it's just about making sure that you're asking a genuine question, and that you've got something to test. That's totally fine. We might raise an eyebrow at something that we find out is like fully being presented in a festival or something like that. But it sounds like you're talking about something much more smaller scale. Yeah.
And then my second question was, could we bring in other community organizations as like collaborators for the idea, not for like funding or anything like that, but if it was, say, like something to do with music and sound, other groups that run within communities and collaborate in that way?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Mention them in the application. And I've just realized something that I didn't mention actually in the kind of hot tips, of course, is budget, which we ask about. So you have $5,000. We ask you to nominate how you're going to spend that money. That's just to give us a little bit of a story. We can get a bit of an understanding, a more understanding about your project and its viability. Absolutely, putting collaborators' fees in there would be a really good thing. You will be the primary applicant, say, but we welcome collaborators and cross-disciplinary practice. And,
Definitely.
All of that sort of thing as well. What's really important if they're an organisation is just that they understand that we want to communicate all of this as a test and not a presentation. And I suppose I'll expand on that. And the reason for that is keeping everything as a test is that we really want people to use this opportunity to take creative risk. Again, I'm going to say that kind of phrase a lot. As soon as something gets into presentation land, there's all this pressure that gets put on it. And we just really want to keep this as like using the city as a laboratory, and that, if you like fail at the end of the day, your project totally disintegrates and catches on fire and implodes, that's a good thing. It means that you've really grappled with your project and found something out. So we just want to remove all those kind of barriers. Participant. Oh, someone's got their hand up. DMR. Donna.
Hi guys, sorry my camera's not working
No
for this device, but anyway, I was just a quick one was I'm looking at a location that I'm not sure if it's actually relevant to where you guys have access to. So would I put that in an email to you to ask if that is a relevant site to where I can suggest it to be put?
Yeah. Do you mean like you're not sure who has jurisdiction on it, or whether it's within the boundaries? Or
correct.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Look, I would just put in the application, as long as it's still a compelling idea and we can see that your artwork relates to that site. It's not necessarily a deal breaker. That's when we might go, oh, okay, we can help be that bridge, and find out how to get that permit for you.
Okay, beautiful. All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Simone.
Hi, sorry. I put a question in the chat, but I will just say it to you.
Cool.
I had two questions. One was, is the program open to art students? So I saw it was open to emerging artists, but would love if you could expand a little on that.
Yeah.
And the other one was, can you do sort of multiple sites for the one project?
Yeah, cool. Yes, it is open to art students, but it can't be a part of your course of study. And that's because you're already at university and getting so much support around that. We just want to keep it separate. This is taxpayers' money that we want to make sure is going to other causes, not back to the university. The other question is absolutely you can do multiple sites. Yeah, go for it. That's interesting. Yeah, so no restriction on that whatsoever. It is a one-day test, so we'll be looking at viability around how much can you possibly squeeze into one day. But if you're talking about a roaming kind of work or something like that, then go for it. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
No problem. Maddie, is this being recorded? And yes, this is being recorded, and we will put it up on the City of Melbourne Test Site's website afterwards, so you can check back on anything that we've missed there. Simone, okay. Okay, well, that might bring us to a close, I think. Jedda, have you got any final pieces of wisdom?
No, I think that's I think we've covered everything. And then if just to say is if there are any questions that come up while you're filling out your applications, feel free to shoot us through an email. We'll be able to respond prior to the closing date. Yeah.
Okay, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Wonderful.
And look forward to getting your applications.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.